AEW Dynamite had 5 weeks of growth in a row, but they could not make it 6, and in fact Dynamite is heading the opposite direction as they go under 600,000 viewers and deliver the lowest rating since February. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. AEW Dynamite, it was 5 weeks in a row of steady but small, consistent growth. And it looked like this week they were going to beat NXT for the first time this year. NXT did a pretty low number. It was like mid 600,000 something. And all AEW Dynamite had to do was pretty much maintain the numbers that they'd done over the past 2 weeks. And that would have been enough to give them their first win over WWE. Their first win over NXT. Now, I'm sure Tony Khan will say, well, what about the max numbers? Well, I think those numbers have been inflated to the max, so we're not going to include them. I'm not sure about a 500k viewing group on max on stream. I don't think that is happening. But what is happening is this week's AEW Dynamite rating, and it is 594,000 views, so under 600k. We've talked about how AEW Dynamite is desperate to get back to 800. First, they need to get to 700, but before they can get to 700, they need to stay above 600, and they've not managed to do that.
No, they've not managed to do that, and this is a drop of the ball, man, of massive proportions, because you're right, the building blocks were there. They've consistently got better, despite what we think of the shows. The ratings were going up and up and up, and they've just been dealt a body blow. Was this show any worse than like last week? I actually think it was worse than last week. I gave it a 1 out of 10. I thought it was pretty bogging in places, if we're being honest. there was some stuff I liked. You actually had John Moxley hitting the paradigm shift on Willow Nightingale. Some male on female violence, brother. Tony Khan pushing the envelope, but the reality is, it's still the fucking Death Riders, man. They have been... Like, if you actually look at the decline of the ratings, I would say those guys at the centre of it, the centrefold it, and he's not once decided, you know what, actually I need to pull the trigger and actually get the belt as far fucking away as possible for these guys. They don't draw.
You say that, but they do seem to be among the higher clips.
Well, we just did Dynamite and they were 5th with 63,000 views.
That was Collision we done actually, right? And that was a one-off. Normally the Dynamite clips are higher rated than anyone else.
Yeah, but John Moxley, right? Maybe they are. But is there not other people?
No, they are.
No, it's hardcore matches.
He's the one in them, isn't he? He's the one that's willing to, take a spike baseball bat to the back and stuff like that. So,
well, who else should we give the title to? So in your opinion, we stick with John Moxley and just hope for the best?
No, I don't. But I think to turn around and say the guy doesn't draw and suggest that there's other people on the show that do draw, I'm just not really buying that.
No, I'm not saying he doesn't draw, but at the same time, he has been the world champion as the ratings have fucking nosedived. So maybe we need to point a finger at him. If we're going to point a finger at Cody Rhodes and Gunther, I'm going to have to point one at John Moxley.
I would personally take the belt off him as well, but I'm just not going to sit here and pretend that there's about 20 people that would draw more than John Moxley.
There ain't, but something fresh wouldn't hurt. And judging by Twitter and judging by our comments section here on Fog Wrestling, people are sick of it. The perfect time was to give it to Christian at the pay-per-view, but no, they both use fucking creative
control. That don't work for me, brother.
No, but creative control used to seem cool back in the day. That's why the way this company is the way it is, brother. Guys like fucking Hogan, not methed out Edge and Moxley. It just seems pish now, doesn't it?
I know,
and Christian's the fucking middleman.
But see, with hindsight, anyone that talks about Hogan and WCW, I think creative control did damage WCW.
No, of course it fucking did, but at least Hulk Hogan refusing to put over people sounds pretty good. Edge and Moxley talking about who wants to take the pin sounds pathetic.
You just know McMahon wouldn't give anyone creative control.
No.
Because he's McMahon, he's the guy in fucking control. And that's the way it should be. Should be the owner or the head booker. That should be the guy with control. And only Vince Russo's talked a lot about it. How can you go in, how can you book, and how can you write when one of the guys on your roster can just pretty much refuse to do anything that you have planned? Like, he can destroy and ruin any payoff that you want to do by just saying, that don't work for me, brother. So, yeah, I don't...
Yeah, creative control doesn't work. And see the people that bum like Brett in 97, it's like, Brett essentially took creative control. Brett was essentially the first guy to fucking do creative control. I mean, he should just fucking accept losing the belt. It's like, if you have a problem with creative control, it's like Brett in Montreal, the '97 Survivor Series. Like he refused to lose the belt.
Aye, anyway, should have lost it, but the numbers, Dynamite are losing them, so lowest viewership in 6 weeks. You can see the key demo as well going down, and it is the lowest key demo in 4 weeks as well. So, yep, viewership taking a bit of a tanking, key demo taking a bit of a tanking, so 594,000 in viewership, 0.16 in the key demo. There was other stuff on TV, but nothing major. You had some basketball games, both did just over 1 million viewers, so nothing major on TV. In terms of the rating though, last week Dynamite did 663,000, so they're down 10% on that, and they're down 7% over the last 4 trailing weeks. The last 4 trailing weeks was 647,000. Key demo last week did a 0.17, down 6% on that. And the past 4 trailing weeks, though, for the key demo is actually a 0.16. So over the past 4 weeks, the key demo actually has not went down, just the viewership. So a little bit interesting there. But we move into the numbers now. And in first place, we have Mayhem AEW World Champion Moxley and Javier versus Swerve and Willow in tag action. 636,000 views. Moxley hitting the paradigm shift DDT, whatever he fucking calls it, can't even remember the name, but that got 636,000, which is not bad. Maybe having Mayhem in the title helps, and I also think seeing a male wrestler, plant a DDT on Willow, that makes sense. But I just think it's dumb that we have Moxley attacking Willow, and then for months and months Marina Shafir's been getting involved and nobody's done anything to her. And I get it, Moxley's a heel, and they're going to say, well, the male attacking the female, that's a heel-like maneuver. But it just doesn't make any sense to me that Marina Shafir's been running around, she's been screwing every guy out of the world title, and they don't care. At least they don't care enough to defend themselves or to try and put her out of the equation or anything like that. And then we see Moxley straight away just DDT Willow Nightingale. So, aye, is what it is. Second place, we have Good Business. Are MJF and the Hurt Syndicate still working out a deal? We don't know. 306k, MJF and Big Bobby. Bobby looks like an absolute tank. Not a guy you want to mess with. Third place, the Death Riders tried to take out Swerve Strickland before Dynasty. So, I mean, we can say what we want about the Death Riders, but they do, more often than not, are among the higher, feud clips of the week. So, is what it is. That's not me defending the Death Riders. That's not me saying that I think Moxley's doing a great job. I don't, but I just think when you look, more often than not, week in, week out, he is among the highest feud clips of the show. Fourth place, Claudio has a ruthless vendetta against Cope before he gets to AEW Dynasty. That's got 200k, so Cope versus Claudio, 200,000. I mean, is what it is. Then we go to fifth place, Women's Champion Toni Storm and Penelope Ford before a showdown with Bane. We've got Toni Storm biting the tongue there of Penelope Ford, 106k. Sixth place, we have Mercedes Moné is unhappy about her upcoming tag team partner on Collision. Looks like she's going to be teaming up with Minnie Moné and Harley Cameron. That could be interesting. We then go to seventh place. It is Everybody Dies. Hounds of Hell, Brody King battles Lance Archer. Then it is 8th place, Will Ospreay teams with Kevin Knight versus Christian and Blake Christian, not Christian, Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. So, there you go. Absolute shite there. Will Ospreay, 5 million a year, 70k. Great. And last place, last but certainly not least, but in this case it is least, it is, did Cash Wheeler accept Dax Harwood's apology? 55k. And the answer to that is nobody gives a fuck whether he accepted it or not. So there you go, guys. There is your AEW Dynamite clips. A bad week for Dynamite. I thought they were going to beat NXT for the first time and they dropped the ball. They fumbled it, just like Tony Khan supposedly fumbled Ricky Starks in front of, 50 people watching him win the North American title, brother. Anyway, till next time, peace.